The third approach, which countries have tried, is to see a nation as citizens in their difference and to enable them to express that difference, whether it's in language or in food or habits or faith, that there is a way of mediating and respecting what people bring with them in their creativity as they respond to their basic needs. Their material needs for shelter and home and clothing, their emotional needs for faith and love, and the symbolic means for how they represent themselves in the world. We've had a number of attempts in different parts of the world to create nations out of that diversity, and it's been a complex exercise to achieve, and schools have played a very critical role in trying to enable learners to expand their repertoires, not to have to give up what they bring with them, but to also take on other forms and other languages, other habits which will allow them to succeed. All of these forms, whether it's assimilation, exclusion, or multiculturalism, come with a tension. All negotiation, all social negotiation is a difficult exercise. And I want to go back to the beginning of where I said that we are determined and determining. As I said, we have no special pact with any great force to decide who we're born into. It is not a crime to be born into poverty. It's not a crime to be born into one ethnic community or another ethnic community. It's our fate. As humans, in our humanity, what do we do when we come together? How do we address the human needs that we have? We have a tendency, unfortunately, that is amongst us that we need to recognise, of an us and them that keeps coming up, of a majority against a minority. The majority's interests are usually put together as the national interests, whereas minorities, people are worried, have special pleading, and they're having ask for entitlements, and they ask for things that are based on not fairness, but expectation. The majority believes in maintaining their heritage and their faith, and there's anxiety that the minorities want diversity and multiculturalism, which will attack and deny the heritage and the faith. And of course, we have this idea of the dominant group, which is the mainstream, that has a right to be able to continue their own ways, as opposed to the growing number of so-called ethnic or indigenous or illegal refugees or immigrants, even feminists or fundamentalists who seem to be attacking people's way of life, even after they've been let in, either as part of an expectation that they assimilate or as part of some multicultural impulse. The other divide is around who's local and who's global. There is no possibility now that those two things aren't blurred, whether it's in our families, whether it's in our technology, whether it's in the air we breathe, whether it's around climate. The local and global are with us now in such profoundly powerful ways, more different than ever before. It is very hard to separate those two domains, and yet we tend to do that. And finally, there is this idea within nation states that somehow the majority want fairness and the law to prevail, and minorities, they're arguing for justice and rights, but by arguing for justice and rights, they do so in ways that gives them an unfair advantage, whereas the so-called majority are asking for equal treatment. These divisions are divisions that create tensions in our classrooms, in our staff rooms, in our local communities. They are matters that we need to negotiate and deal with in the classroom with learners as we try to address their needs for learning and transformation.